It took me 5 years to be told that I'm going through the perimenopause. And I didn't even, and they never even explained what the perimenopause meant. I was told I was young, so it can't be that. And basically, what happened at work, I was slowly declining, doubting, as I said, how I came across, the work that I was doing. I couldn't even focus. I had brain fog, didn't concentrate. So the meetings that I was attending at work, second nature to me because I'd been doing it for years. For all of a sudden, I would have this gut feeling that I just didn't want to go in. I would feel that whatever I'm saying is not making sense. I was silent about what I was going through because I thought I'm a failure. I thought whatever's happening to me, it'll disappear. I actually got diagnosed as perimenopause. And it just shocked me the fact that 5 years I struggled and I was thinking in my head because I was having the irregular periods. I was having everything, but was no conversation about that this is what you could be going through because that may have helped me during that period.
Welcome to the 51%, the podcast where we cut through the noise and get back to basics when it comes to women's health. Through expert insights and powerful personal stories, we help you tune into what really matters: your body, your well-being, your life. No one-size-fits-all advice, just real conversations to help you understand your health on your terms. But before we dive in, I've got a quick favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and join the 51% community on our website. It's free and helps us grow, reach more women, and create events that really speak to the health and wealth challenges we all face. And finally, just so you know, everything shared is for information only. It's not medical or financial advice, and always speak to a qualified expert for support that's right for you. Madhu, thank you for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you on. Could you please introduce yourself and talk about your journey from what you were doing before to what you are doing now? That would be great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. My name's Madhu and I am the founder of M for Menopause. The reason I found this is basically because of the journey that I actually went through. So I'll talk about what I did before I founded M for Menopause. I worked for a government department and I worked with them for 23 years. I've got a HR background as well as the last few years working with them. Was the last 8 years I worked as a recruitment specialist, and it was helping people to get back, to return back to work. And it was working with different types of groups, different ages. I was the apprenticeship lead for the 18 to 24-year-olds. And I sort of dealt with employers within the borough of Enfield, and I actually did a lot with, I worked with the council because what the government wanted to do is for everyone to sort of link up in communities and for particular, or, for organizations to have understanding how we worked as a government department in understanding about benefits and everything. So we actually move forward rather than not moving forward and having clashes between, the council, housing benefit side, the benefit side, and then with employers, it's understanding what their requirements were, what their needs were. And we were there to build a relationship, build a rapport, so they actually use our services. But I would also sort of be honest with them and tell them what we could do and what we couldn't do. So I actually loved the job that I was in. And as soon as, I think it was in my 40s where, my daughters were older. So the, not the responsibility, but what I used to do for them was sort of reducing. So I was just thinking, actually, this is my time now, go ahead in my career, being able to do some courses that I wanted to do, all of that, and then actually build the relationship up again with my husband in the sense of us socializing again, dating again. It was a lot of, actually, I thought it was going to be a great time, in that sense. And, but what happened is, I guess in my early 40s was when I started sort of changing. Now, in the job that I was in, I was I was never micromanaged. I was an independent, loyal employee, and I committed myself to where I actually worked. And I basically started to change slowly in my early 40s, thinking whatever I was thinking changed to me needing reassurance from my employer and manager that I was doing a good job. And it was doubting myself. Those were the initial reactions that I was sort of starting to have. And then with my husband, rather than sort of the relationship building up, it was becoming distance. And I don't know why. I have no idea why this was happening. And I was just thinking, when you hear other people that are in the older women that are sort of in a particular chapter of their life, and they say, oh, this is how my life's going to be. It's boring. There's nothing exciting. It's that. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, is that what my life is going to be now? And I didn't have any inkling as to why things were changing for me, and it was becoming a struggle. And I started to have symptoms which were like, for example, my skin was changing. I was getting itchy skin. My nails were brittle, got lines on them. And I wasn't used to that. So looking at those changes, I would go to the GP and say, this is what I'm noticing. And they'd obviously do tests and work out, if there was something wrong or if I was lacking with something or whatever, and it would just come back negative. So I would just go back to work, come back home, just carry on as normal. I never ever went regularly to see a doctor because I didn't really need to in the past. But all of a sudden, within my early 40s, I was going to my GP regularly. And so basically I didn't realize it was later on. So I was having cognitive issues. I was having psychological issues. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was having night sweats. And basically I'd be up from 2:30 in the morning and would want to go to sleep at 6:00, but I couldn't because I had to get ready for work. So basically, I was struggling day in and day out, emotionally drained, not realizing. And as women, we just learn to carry on in silence because that's how we've been brought up.
Yeah.
Just get on with it. Whatever's happening, don't worry about it. It'll go away, that type of thing. And in pre-menopause, I was like that, where I did carry on. I could literally compartmentalize. I can't even say the word. My
Okay.
now
I can't say it. Compart. Oh my gosh! Now I can't say it.
Anyway, it's putting my brain or my mind into different segment of boxes.
Yeah.
And it was at work, I'd be focusing on work. Even if I had an argument, say, with my husband at home, I would still be able to carry on. I could multitask. That all changed in my early 40s. I was changing into something I didn't know who I was becoming, and I didn't like it, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to turn. So that was sort of in my early 40s, but my symptoms started to increase. Going back to my GP, sorry, I'm talking a lot about this question, but I just wanted to give you an insight of what actually sort of how it took me 5 years to be told that I'm going through the perimenopause. And they never even explained what the perimenopause meant. I never had any conversations with my GP to say that, well, it could be, this is what you could be going through. I was told I was young, so it can't be that. Right. And basically what happened at work, I was slowly declining, doubting, as I said, how I came across, the work that I was doing. I couldn't even focus. I had brain fog, didn't concentrate. So the meetings that I was attending at work second nature to me because I've been doing it for years. For all of a sudden, I would have this gut feeling that I just didn't want to go in. I didn't want to go and attend the meeting. Um, and it was the same people that I was actually sort of integrating with, but it was very male orientated. There were a few women on the book on the forums that I used to attend, but it was I couldn't even focus on what they were saying. So even if I'm writing notes, it was squiggles because I couldn't keep up. And I think I'm still like that at the moment. And then if I had to say something, I would feel that whatever I'm saying is not making sense. So that would create doubt in me. And then I was changing in our office meetings. So even in office meetings, I had to sort of deliver to advisors, deliver to management, tell them why this isn't working and this might work. And it's, so I used to do all of that. But in the actual team meetings that we used to have with the recruitment specialists, I was changing from being this vocal individual because I was passionate about what I would do. I was silent about what I was going through because I thought I'm a failure. If I
Yeah.
slip up, I'm going to be a failure. And I thought, whatever's happening to me, it'll disappear.
Mm.
So basically, I went to speak to my manager, female manager, similar age to me. And I think she would have, she was a Kali. And basically, I thought she might understand what I'm going through because I'm not sleeping at night. I was getting weekly migraines, and migraines can last for 24, 48 hours. And then the after effect of that migraine could, just drain you, take a lot out of you. And I think, I better speak to her to tell her what I'm going through, the fact that I'm not sleeping. But as women, we still have to do the same job role. We still have to do things at home. We still look after our children. We all might have caring responsibilities because of parents. And the fact that everyone around you is aging, people don't see you aging or going through something, they just see you as a normal individual. Yeah, you'll do everything, you'll carry on. Unless you've got a broken leg or a broken arm or whatever, they know that something's wrong with you then, so you can't do it.
Yeah.
And at work, I reached out to my manager, and it took me a long time to reach out to her, to speak to her. And when I did, all she spoke about was the work targets. And that sort of put me back, and it withdrew me even more. And I just thought, well, what's the point? There's no point. And it was months later that I decided to leave work. It was a haste decision that I did overnight because just one incident happened at work, and it just it ruined, I just woke up the next morning saying to my husband that I want to resign today. And it was a month of February. And he was shocked, the fact that I just came and said this decision. And all he said to me was, if it makes you happy, do that. So I was fortunate because he was the main breadwinner at work, at home. And the fact that I could actually do that. And I founded M for Menopause basically because of all of the experiences that I went through, realizing how women aren't as fortunate as me, realizing the expense of going to see someone privately. A lot of women do that, and there's no support out there. This was in 2016, so it was the last day of work was March 2016, from 4th of March 2016, and within that month prior, in the month of February, was when I actually got diagnosed as perimenopause. And it just shocked me, the fact that 5 years I struggled, and I was thinking in my head, because I was having the irregular periods, I was having everything, but was no conversation about that this is what you could be going through, because that may have helped me during that period.
Yeah.
When I left work, it was a few years later that I regretted it. And the reason why I do what I do is to make sure that no woman goes through what I go through. I support women. I work with employers, and I'm going to work in the community, and I'm going to start to do research as well. So that Asian people from ethnic minorities, we understand more, we understand better about what is actually happening within and not having assumptions made.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. I know, since the kind of Davina McCall, I guess, you know, talking about menopause, that has really highlighted the issue, and women are understanding more and talking more. And hopefully, we can only teach our children, whether they're boys or girls, what this is and what's going to happen
Yeah.
to them, because it also, like you said, it affects your partner, your husband, your brother,
Your
your
family,
father,
everyone.
it affects the whole family. It's not just about you. And it affects your friendships. There's lots of things involved.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about, you talk about you had all these symptoms, okay, and it started in your early 40s. So would you say from 40 years onwards?
Yeah, probably like 41.
Yeah.
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 So what I want to ask you, what symptoms did you have? And I mean, probably, I can imagine it's a lot, because it's not just one or two things. Typically, it's a lot
No.
of symptoms. And just to add on from that, actually asking you that, when you have all these symptoms, you start feeling like there's something actually wrong with you, and start worrying, have I got
Yeah.
this? Have I got that? What's going on with me? Am I going to die? And
No,
all
it's
these
all of that.
feelings of anxiety worsen, because obviously you can get anxiety as well. And that
Yeah.
heightens because you're worried now. Have I got this? Have I got that? So, as a South Asian woman, I want to ask you, what symptoms did you experience?
So my symptoms was so the symptoms tend to be slow and they creep up very slowly.
Hmm.
And so initially, as I said, it was my skin changing, my nails were changing. It was the psychological impact for me, or and the cognitive impact that I had. And it was so like because I wasn't sleeping at night, I'd be getting up. I would be exhausted when I go to bed,
Mm.
but I would be up at 2:30 in the morning because I'm dripping, because I'm getting night sweats, but I am absolutely drenched. So I
Mm.
have to get up, change my clothes, change the bedding. Then I'd go back to sleep, and I'm not sleeping. I've got my husband snoring on one side, and then there's me trying to sleep, and that's increasing my anxiety that I've not done this today. I've not done that. Oh, I forgot to do this at work. So your mind's just literally going all over the place. Um, so those were the initial stages, and my periods were regular. So it's not that my periods were irregular, they weren't.
Mm.
Uh, and it was the migraines. I was getting weekly migraines. And then I was getting muscle ache, joint aches. To get out of bed, I had to do this 3-step routine to get out of bed because my joints were aching in the morning. Um, so when I found out I was perimenopause, it was after that I started to do research. I didn't do it before. I couldn't even concentrate or focus anything that I read anyway, because my mind was in a very dark place. But that's after years of what I'd actually been through. I thought, so every time I visited the GP regularly, and it was literally becoming regular. And I felt, oh my God, they're going to be thinking, there's nothing wrong with that. Why does she keep on coming for? I'm being judged,
Did they
right?
prescribe you anything at that point? Or did they
No,
did they say, oh,
herbal.
take some antidepressants, or take some,
So
I don't know, ibuprofen for the pain, as an example? Is that the kind of narrative that came out?
So I went, so basically, my mum suffered with arthritis. So
Mm.
my first reaction was, oh my God, I'm getting arthritis, but I'm only like 40. I'm
Mm.
young. That was my first initial reaction. Then it was because I couldn't concentrate and I couldn't focus. This was increasing as the months were going on. Um, I was sort of, you know, not being able to focus and I thinking, oh my God, I'm getting dementia. You know, it was like everything was going in my mind and it was becoming where I felt like I was a hypochondriac.
Mm.
Keep on going back to my GP, wanting to get an answer. And I wasn't getting that. When I started to research, I realized that I had 50% of the 34 symptoms then. And I think there's definitely over 60 or 70 symptoms that we can, you know, have. Um, and I was surprised, but I was happy because I was thinking, oh my God, my relationship's not breaking up because of what I'm going through. And, you know, like lack of libido, your relationships, you know, coming into a turmoil. The relationship with my daughters was changing where I was screaming and shouting. I was miserable. I didn't want to talk to anyone at home. And if I wouldn't even make decisions at home, I couldn't. My confidence was just changing. But confidence is a symptom. That's one thing I want to say. Confidence is because of all of the other symptoms you're having. So I was having the migraines. I wasn't sleeping at night. I was tired. I was exhausted. But I still have to carry on. We still have to carry on. And one thing that I want to say is that, um, you know, people just automatically think it's hot flushes. And that's what I actually thought. The hot flushes, my periods would stop. Shabam, that's it. I will be menopausal. And it's the fact that no one's actually spoken about what actually can happen
Mm.
personally in what happens behind closed doors. No one openly speaks about it. And if someone had spoken to me about it, I couldn't speak to my mom. My sisters are much older than me, and the two older ones in their 70s basically are very proud of what I'm doing. But when I asked them the question, well, what did you go through? They thought, oh, we just went through it. So, you know, that's an example. I said, okay, wait until my book comes out. Then I will ask you what you actually went through, because I think that generation, like the 70s, and, you know, it's like you just go through it. That is it. You have to
Mm.
hurry on and get on with it. But I did become a hypochondriac. I thought I was going crazy, but there were so many lessons I learned from that.
Mm.
The symptoms were like my periods became irregular. It would be sort of heavy. Then I wouldn't bleed for a month. Then the second month, I would bleed twice. But the first period would be completely different to the other period after 2 weeks. And it was draining and it was the uncertainty. Whereas I was so used to certainty because
Mm.
periods were regular, the uncertainty made me even more anxious, more where my mental health was impacted. So the other reason why I do this, and I'm writing a book, I've said for the last few years that the book should be coming out shortly. But I wrote a book because I realized my mental health was severely impacted because pre-menopause, I could cope with putting things in boxes and just carrying on in sweeping everything else under the carpet. When I hit perimenopause, it was my mental health went on the floor. I was in a very dark place. Wow.
Mm.
Like woken up and I would wake up with negative thoughts, go to bed with negative thoughts. I didn't have any positiveness in my mind. It was all negative. And that's what I found really hard. And that's why I think it's really important to spread knowledge, increase education and an awareness to actually for individuals to understand the symptoms.
Yeah.
But the thing is, my journey could be different to the journey that you're going to have. You may not even go through the journey that I've been through.
Mm.
And it's getting everyone to understand that we're all individuals. We're not going to go through the same journey. It's actually just being aware of what could happen if it does happen and what you should do to make sure that you get the support.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you know, you sharing your journey can help others. And like you said, it's not about, yeah, I don't feel the same as you. I've only got two of the things you had. That's fine. But knowing what other people are going through as well, and talking with your friends openly and just
Yeah.
saying, I feel like this, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling blah, 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 then you can notice those symptoms and ask the question, listen, maybe you're perimenopausal, or even if you know you're perimenopausal, at least your friends and family can understand and show a bit of compassion, you know,
I- Yeah.
as opposed to looking at you and thinking, crazy person coming,
Yeah. And
you
you're
know,
feeling it. Well, I
yeah.
felt it because I constantly spoke about what I was going through, I think. But that's only when I started to know what was happening. And like if I'd go out and my daughters are with me and they'll say, oh, here she goes again, she's off. Right.
Mm,
But actually they weren't embarrassed. For me, I felt that they would be embarrassed, the fact that I'm openly talking about what is actually happening.
mm,
And the thing is, it's like for everyone to realize that no matter who you are, you're going to know someone that will be going through the perimenopause or the menopause. And actually, it's not even older women. You can have young girls
mm,
that go through premature ovarian insufficiency. And it's for those girls, it actually is heartbreaking because they fear the fact that they're South Asian, the impact it's going to have for them to have a relationship, because the partner is going to automatically assume, oh, they may not be able to have children, and the impact for the parents. And do you know what I mean?
mm,
It's like mentally debilitating for the young. I've actually supported a young girl, and she has gone through so much because of that. But it's like just working with her and getting it right for her, what works for her, but to know that it's not her fault
mm,
as to what she's going through. And it's the impact, like my marriage would have broke. I would have walked out of my marriage. And it's understanding that between the age of 45 to 55, probably increasing now, women are leaving their husbands.
mm,
And it is because of the perimenopause. Your character changes, your personality changes. As I said, I'm not saying that everyone does, but if you're aware, then you think, oh, well, it could be that. So, you said that sometimes when you speak to your friends, you can see, oh, I feel like I'm so angry today or whatever, I can feel like doing this. So I went to my GP and I said to the GP, I feel like killing someone. And she goes, oh, don't worry about it. Everyone does that. And I was thinking, okay, so I could be a serial killer. That's something new. And I just felt so stupid. Why did I say that? But
mm,
I was asking for help and I wasn't getting it because I was doing it wrong. I should have done it
yeah.
a different way.
But when you finally, after 5 years, they finally, the GP said, actually, you're in perimenopause. What happened after that? It sounds like you didn't get any information about it. So then you had to go onto, you know, Dr. Google and find out
What?
information yourself. But
What?
really, what should have happened, ideally, in that ideal situation, is they should have equipped you with information and help, supported you through that and given you some options on what you can do.
Yeah.
So, what did you do at that point after you found out?
So you just said something there. I just wanted to say that. Oh God, I forgot what I wanted to say. But basically, my GP was Asian. So she said to me, take herbal medication. So I asked her, okay, which ones should I take? Just go to the health store and they will tell you what to take. So I had to take herbal medication for my brain, for the cognitive side,
Mm,
the lack of libido, for my hot or night sweats that I was actually getting. And I think it was for something else as well. So as a woman, your brain is saturated anyway, and you can't even think straight. Your GP is telling you to go to the herbal thing, have a conversation with them. And at that time, not many people were educated in the stores. So it was like, I felt like I was wasting their time. I'm spending £60 a month on herbal medication because she didn't want to give me HRT.
so it's like supplements, basically.
Yeah.
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 So it's like going to Holland and Barrett. I mean, now it's a bit different because there's a
Holland
bit
and
more
Barrett are
education.
really good.
Yeah, but back then it was a case of go to Holland and Barrett or something like that and
Yeah.
say, I'm going through these things, what can I take?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
am I going to remember what they've actually said? How's it going to help me? And I took it for about 3 months, but I actually think I was so desperate. I was really desperate because my household was breaking down. If I didn't know what I was going through, how is my husband or my children going to know what I'm going through? All they know is that mum's a nag, mum's moody. It's all those things that they're actually thinking.
Mm.
The fact that they've seen me change, they themselves don't even know what to do because they didn't know what it was. And that's why it's actually important to increase the awareness, increase the knowledge. So everybody, and it's making space now for the next generation to be supported, whether
Yeah.
you're a girl or a boy or whatever, everyone should actually know about this because everyone's going to be impacted.
Mm.
I forgot the question that you asked me actually, but
No, so I was just
so
asking, after you found out, you took the supplements
yes,
basically, and £60 a month later, which is a lot.
it is. And when you
That's a
think,
lot of more. Yeah, it's a lot of money, and sometimes I say, well, even if you go, a lot of the supplements in your typical, Holland and Barrett boots, they're not very clean in the sense they're full of fillers and certain chemicals or whatever,
yeah,
which is something that I've discovered a lot lately. So, and then if you want to go down the clean route, it's like almost double a month. So it's almost like taking out another mortgage. And,
yeah.
I mean, I know mortgages are sky high, but, it's like
No, but
it's a huge
can
added
you imagine
cost.
someone who's
Yeah.
like a single parent or
Yeah.
who is, they can't afford that?
They
What
can't
are they going
afford.
to do? What are they
Yeah,
going to do?
exactly. They cannot afford all these supplements. They really
Yeah.
can't. So after the supplement stuff,
So what I
what
did
happened
was,
then?
I'll tell you this, the route that I went down was basically there was a locum at the surgery and the locum, because I knew it was a locum, I went to her, I burst out crying and said, I just need help.
Mm.
I think I didn't want to take HRT. The reason I didn't want to take HRT was because of what I had heard. I didn't
Yeah.
do research myself. It was all hearsay as to,
Mm.
the HRT side. And one thing you asked me before was about, I was prescribed an antidepressant, but
Mm.
it was just a minimal amount that I took to help me for my night sweats. And I think that sort of did help me for my night sweats. Not that I slept, but it calmed my night sweats down. So it wasn't, she, I think she was thinking that I was probably depressed or, low in mood, all of that. But she said, no, I'm giving it because of your night sweats. I said, okay, because I didn't want to take. And then it was when I went to see the locum, she prescribed me HRT. And if you listen, so it started from me getting the HRT. And I ended up seeing a counselor for 2 years. I needed help. I needed help.
Mm.
Things that happened in the past came in the forefront when I was going through the perimenopause. And and so there was steps that I had to start taking to help myself, to making sure, and I had to understand what it is I needed to do to make sure I was getting the help from my GP. One thing the GP did do was when I was having the intermittent periods, the irregular periods, that she referred me to get checked to see if I had any fibroids or anything like that. That's one thing she did do. But it wasn't conversations about, well, these are the first, it could be signs or whatever. And then after that, because I wasn't, she referred me to a gynecologist. And all he said to me is that your hormones, your progesterone levels are disruptive. So, we'll insert a Mirena coil, everything like that. But there was just no conversation about menopause. I felt naive. I felt ignorant. Yeah.
Mm.
I did biology when I was 16. I can't even, knowledge about hormones for me, it's very complicated as it is.
Mm.
Uh, but for your average woman, it's even worse if you want to know what's actually happening. One lesson I took was that I have to know my body. I have to tell my GP what I am going through, not what they think that I'm going through. It was taking control of what I needed to do to make sure that I get the support that I need.
Mm. Yeah. is about, advocating for yourself. And you can only do that if you're armed with information. And the only way to do that is if you know your body and taking notes on,
Yeah.
how you're feeling. And, at the end of
Good
the
time.
day, yeah, our physiology is very different. And we do need to check in on our breasts, check in on our vagina, check in
Yeah.
on, our
It's
how we're
maintenance.
feeling. Yeah, it is. And we have to do it. And if we don't do it and go to the doctor randomly, like we do, oh, I
Yeah.
feel this. Oh, I've got this. It's all going to be random. There's not going to be any connecting the dots, you know?
What I wanted to say was that if you think about the language barriers that we have as South Asian women, some people may not even feel confident enough to go and speak to their GP, especially if it's a family GP, in that
Mm.
all of your family go to. And you opening up to that GP, it's it's making sure that these women or individuals do get that help, do feel confident enough to go to their GP to get support. It's the language that they use or their literacy, so it's like explaining what they're going through.
Mm.
Uh, it's getting them confident in sort of doing that, in understanding that, because you could be living within a oh my God, my integrated family. I'm trying to think, like, like with
Yeah.
laws and things like that, you're living together. And, you could, men, if they've got sisters and whatever their attitude is, well, my sisters go through it anyway, they're not complaining. So why are you complaining? Why are you so different? And that it's things like that that we need to change, because everyone needs to realize that everyone's journey is different. It's not the
Mm.
same. Every individual is different. Your siblings are going to be different to, pain threshold can be different between siblings. So it's like, it's making everyone aware of the fact that, it could be bad for some and it may be smooth for others and it might be mediocre for other women. Not everyone's,
Yeah.
no one's going to go through the same journey. And it
Exactly.
can be different, and sometimes if you have a mother-in-law and the mother will say, well, I went through it, so get on with it. So like, you can't even, how do you have a conversation with your mother-in-law? It's things like that. It's trying to normalizing these conversations,
Yeah. And
right?
it's that kind of, especially, in the South Asian culture, there's a lot of dismissiveness in, especially if you're a woman, you're kind of expected to just cope with everything.
Yeah.
Anytime you say, oh, I feel tired, or I feel like this, or I've got this, it's just dismissed as, well, you're not doing this properly. You're not doing that
Yeah.
properly. There's no compassion. And alternatively, if it's a man, there's a whole load of compassion there,
Yeah. Yeah.
from
Uh,
and that is from yeah, exactly. He needs rest.
yeah.
Needs to, he needs his sleep. He's got a lot, you can't stress a man out, and you can't,
Yeah.
all of this stuff. And it's like the woman is just, I mean, let's hope things are changing
Yeah.
in society today. I think it is. I mean, for me, certainly my children would never, I would hope they would never do that, because I've told them never, ever, this is all rubbish. But, still it goes on,
No,
you know.
no.
If you don't, if you don't acknowledge it and change it, it's not going to change. That family will continue,
It's,
and you
yeah.
always say, my thing is, I am a parent. I'm doing the best I can. And I always say to my children, always, you know, whatever happens, you know, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm informing you of the certain things, but there's always room for improvement. I don't know everything,
Yeah.
and I don't,
You could learn from your children.
exactly. And I want them to look at me when they're older and think, actually, I'm not going to do that, what my mum did. I'm going to do better. I'm going to be a better person and do this. And
Yeah.
because, but
But
we,
you've given them the strength to think that way.
yeah,
And, I think there's a lot of people from different backgrounds, from ethnic minorities that may not have the be comfortable to even be, doing that.
mhm,
And that's why, like, I'm hoping to start in the communities and making sure that they have a safe place where they can just release it. Even that makes a
Yeah.
difference. And if they need support, we'd be there to give support. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing that we need to do. Um,
So talk about the
and
for menopause then. What exactly is that? Is that like a community that
so,
kind of talks about menopause and helps women through menopause, especially if they are dismissed, and um, whether that's with their GP or in the family?
yeah. So basically, there's three sides to what I do. The first one is I'm educating employers, increasing awareness there because women need to be, individuals who go through the menopause need support
Hmm.
at work, and it's getting them to think what it is they need to do. So basically, it's like a three-step methodology that I've actually devised, where it's going into the organization, find out what they're actually doing, um, and then sort of analyzing it, doing so. You're sort of analyzing it, going in, working with them together, working with their employees as well, because you have people from the senior leadership team thinking it's working. I've done a workshop for menopause. That's it. It's working now. And actually, when you look at floor level, it's basically not working. And that's how I sort of build the evidence up. And
Yeah.
then say maybe there's things that you could actually implement, you can pilot it, and then you have to evaluate it. So that's what I do with employees. It's training their managers, increasing awareness with their employees, and basically getting their managers to be comfortable, but also getting employees to having open conversations about what they're going through. So when I used to be on sick leave, I never used to say why I was on sick because it was to do with like my periods or the men. It's like start
Hmm.
changing conversation at work to change that work culture. In the community, I want to help people in the community where they do get support, where they are aware and sort of figuring out what it is, what support they need, how can we get them that support, and see if there's someone that would be able to take them, say, to their doctor's appointments or something like that, that they actually do get the right support. Increasing awareness in the community. And actually, I'm hoping to do a focus group for men, Asian men, because we're all from different cultural backgrounds. Even though we're Asian, we're Indian or whatever, we've got Sri Lankan, we've got Gujarati, we've got Punjabi, you've got people from Bangladesh, Pakistan. It's all of that. And we're all from different backgrounds and the culture is
Hmm.
different within.
Yeah.
So it's sort of setting up. And it's not me saying, oh, what we need is women. It's understanding what they think menopause is or, menstruation is, as well as what it is that they need, rather than me saying, well, this is what you need as a,
Hmm.
and then the other thing is like I do increase awareness with media, um, news articles and everything. I sort of increase awareness in that. And then I coach women one-to-one, provide them support with guidance. I actually have started to do the menstruation side because it's all linked up. Menstruation and menopause, literally, it's one spectrum to the other, but it does link up. And it's
Hmm.
getting you to understand that, to get to know their bodies, to think about the lifestyle that they have
Oh wow, that's yeah.
within the South Asian community. So I want to, because there's so many surveys that have been done, it's not reaching our communities. So it's ethnic backgrounds. I want to make sure that we get the true picture because I know surveys have been done in India, surveys have been done in Pakistan, but we live in the UK. Our diet, our lifestyle is still very different to those in India and Pakistan. So it's
Hmm.
getting the true picture, what's happening in the UK. And I think that's really important because a lot of people make assumptions about why people aren't taking HRT. They're from a socio-economic background where finance isn't that much the way they express themselves. They live in a demographic area where it's very Asian orientated, but they're not getting support from their GP with HRT, for example, because White Caucasian women are actually getting that support more than what Asian women or Black women are. And actually, so I went to a meeting, and in that meeting, it said that, people from lower backgrounds, as in financial wise, it's those women that aren't getting the support. And I'm just thinking, well, I mix with a lot of people that are from the middle class, and they're still talking about Ayurveda. They're not talking about HRT because they've just got a negative perception about HRT. And so it's not, people from those backgrounds. It's wider within the South Asian community why people don't take HRT. So it's sort of, I just want to get a better picture of what is actually happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got all these women leaving the workforce directly because of perimenopausal symptoms and menopause, which has a huge impact on the economy.
Yeah.
And also, they're not contributing to society, in terms of, they want more tax, and
You know
they're not
what?
going to get it if women aren't working. And then
No.
also it directly impacts the earning capacity of a woman, and what happens when that woman retires, her pension pot and all these things have
So that's
a
what I wanted
huge
to talk
impact.
about.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to talk about, was the financial impact. When I
Yeah.
decided to leave, suddenly, I never thought about the long-term impact on my pension, what that's going to have on me. And that's what we have to tell women about. So there's been women that I have spoken to recently who saying, oh, they want to leave work. And I'm saying, have you thought about like your pension? What is it going to be like? The impact it's going to be on you. And when you start realizing that, then they think, oh, maybe so I won't. But then they're unhappy. It's because the employer's not supporting them. It's such a vicious circle. But women do have to understand the actual financial impact that it can have on them. The government need to understand the financial impact that it can have on the economy. And employers sort of need to understand that if you've got loyal, committed employees who've got knowledge, expertise in the field that they work in, and they're leaving, they're going to have a shortage of skill. They're going to lose that network of people that individual knows.
Yeah.
Actually recruiting someone new, and the cost of recruiting someone new is training them, advertising, training. It's all of that.
Yeah, costs
They
a lot
don't
of
realize
money.
the impact that's going to have on them, and the length of time it takes to train them. You can train someone, but the knowledge that they're going to have compared to the individual that left is going to be far less.
I want to ask you about the HRT, because you said that you finally got the HRT that you needed. Did it work for you? Was it almost like a miracle thing for you because of all the symptoms you had?
So HRT, it takes time to get used to your body.
Yeah.
So there's different ones that you can actually get. You can get the oral one, you can get the patch, the gel. There's a spray as well. And basically what you have to do is keep a track of your symptoms at that time you're taking HRT. So I went through about 3 or 4 different ones before the one that actually did help me. But one thing that HRT did help me is sleep.
Right.
I actually reduced the night sweats. So that made a difference. My joint aches changed. I didn't have any joint aches. And my migraines became less. I still get them now and then. The one thing that I have to say is HRT does not fix everything. But what you have to do is, so like HRT, alongside your HRT, you still have to do things. You have to look at your lifestyle. You have to think about exercising. You have to think about what you eat. You may have to reduce things. There was so much that happened to me, which was overwhelming. And I had to do so much. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do everything all at once. I had to do it step by step. The book I've written is like Working Through Menopause. And within there, it's my story, because I think that women understand, or individuals will understand somebody else's story and start realizing, oh, I could be going through that, or, that could be me, whatever. Okay, this is what I need. This is what I need to do. But then the second part of it is giving them, I've developed a framework, and it gives them understanding and awareness of actions that they can actually take to help themselves. So if they can't afford to go and see someone privately or something like that, there's steps that they can actually take to start helping them and thinking of ways of communicating with their family. How do they prioritize themselves? And it's keeping up that momentum, which is the hardest thing when you're lethargic. You haven't got energy, being low in mood. Your body's hurting and things like that. But actually, if you do take small steps, it makes a difference. So HRT definitely helped me. But over time it changes, and then you have to try something else again. So it's being aware of what your symptoms are. When you're taking the HRT, still track the symptoms you're having or not having, then you'll see what's improved. But I've got to say, HRT helped me. HRT is not prescribed automatically. Your GP will actually go through some questions, will work with you because they look at family history as well. And that they'll develop a picture and, think that, well, can we give you HRT or can we not? So they don't just prescribe it to anyone, because if you have concerns, say, about breast cancer or anything like that, it's actually making sure. The other thing about HRT, you have different ones. So if you've still got your womb, you will have sort of like a combination HRT, which is giving you estrogen. And so that's one that you'd have, but you'd have to take a tablet, which is progesterone, because you're protecting the lining of your womb.
The other problem, though, is, especially in the South Asian community, that, people don't discuss their medical history. So I know I've spoken to, Asian women where they may have had breast cancer history in their family, but they didn't know about it because no one knew. It was not talked about. It was a secret or whatever. So when things have become a secret, how can you even discuss your medical history? Because not your medical history, but your family's medical history, that becomes a difficult conversation. So really the key thing here is just talk. And it's great that you're sharing your journey and your story, because we need more women like you from the South Asian community, from the Black community, from, different ethnic minority communities to talk about their experiences, because only then, other people can relate and resonate and think, oh, there's another, there's a Punjabi lady talking about, there's a Gujarati lady talking about, there's a Black lady talking, there's a lady from, Ghana or Nigeria, wherever, talking about, and I can relate to that. And maybe I can't relate 100% because I haven't got all the things she's got or going through. It doesn't matter, but it makes you feel comfortable and makes you think, oh, it's not just me. And that's the most important. And it might give you that confidence to share as well. And we need more people from different communities to share.
Definitely. One thing I just want to say is, like, whoever listens to this podcast, if there's one thing that they can take away, speak to a member of your family and start talking about their medical history. Start talking about menopause. Start talking about menstruation. Menstruation, what is normal? What is a normal period? Do we know? We don't.
Yeah. There's lots of things about, when we have periods, it's a case of, oh, my periods are really heavy or I'm in real pain. That's not normal.
No.
It's just not normal. And you grow up thinking, oh,
that's normal.
Periods are meant to be heavy or really painful, and you're meant to have massive mood swings and this and that. But you're not actually. You're absolutely not. So yes, talk about it with your family, your friends.
Conversations with your family.
Yeah.
Especially if you find it difficult that you can't talk to someone else, but actually it's important for you to talk to your mom, talk to your sister, start having that conversation with them. If, you can't speak to your mom, or, you haven't got a sister, if you've got an aunt, speak to your aunt, because, if it's your mom's sister, because there might be some sort of pattern. You don't know. So just speak to someone and find out. First step, find out what their journey has been like. Ask them what their symptoms were. As I say, there's so many symptoms. So like you can't literally categorize everything, but everyone goes, as I said, no menopause is the same. It's not one size fits all. Everyone is different. Everyone is an individual. And actually, as an individual, go and get help if you need help. Reach out to me if they need any help, and I could sort of work with them.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Madhu, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's been great to have you on. And also thank you for sharing your journey so openly. I'm sure it will help many. And I really do hope, even if it helps that one person, it's, that's a job well done for me.
No, definitely. I really hope so. I hope it does help, even if it's one, as you said. Thank you for inviting me as well. I love talking about it. So
No, thank you so much.
no worries.